The joint Croat-Bosnian government advance into Serb territories of northern Bosnia, which astonished outsiders in recent days, was today meant to have halted by order of the Croatian president Franjo Tuđman. As these Bosnian forces hosed down captured Serb tanks, the Croat political leadership had bowed to international pressure. The advance threatened the momentum of the American-backed peace initiative. By chance, the British Foreign Secretary Malcolm Rifkind was in Zagreb. He reinforced Washington's pressure on the Croats to end all immediate plans to keep advancing.
President Tuđman told Mr. Minister that Croats forces will stop.
I welcome the fact that the Croatian government have decided to instruct their forces not to take further offensive action. If we can see similar restraint elsewhere, then much will have been achieved.
As so often in the past 4 years of conflict, what has happened in northern Bosnia is probably only a temporary freezing of confrontation lines. Croat-Bosnian advances over the past 10 days have seized some 20% of the 70% formerly held by Bosnian Serbs, who are now withdrawing. Those gains by the Bosnian-Croat Federation have pushed the war within fighting distance of the Serb stronghold of Banja Luka. To the south and west of the city, new Serb defence lines have now been sighted by United Nations observers.
From a Bosnian Serb army position, in military terms, Banja Luka is what would be termed vital ground which they would clearly not wish to concede for a host of reasons, not least humanitarian, and therefore it is entirely logical that their major defensive line is west and south of Banja Luka, with a degree of space in between.
But suddenly today there was a new shift back into a move to negotiate under American pressure, with the Assistant Secretary of State Richard Holbrooke twisting arms diplomatically in Zagreb, the British having even dangled the carrot of economic aid, as America has already done. The Serb leadership later being briefed by Holbrooke in Belgrade on this meeting.
We are going to go to Belgrade now. We're changing our plans, and we are flying directly to Belgrade to see President Milosevic, to brief him on the discussions here and to talk to him one more time before we return to Washington tonight.
We have reached the point where I think that the parties should focus on the peace process now rather than on any changes in the battlefield. The map should not be addressed on the battlefield. It ought to be addressed at the peace table, and I believe that's the direction in which we must press them in the hardest way at the present time.
The urge of the Bosnian forces in particular to drive forward is understandable. This is the town of Bosanska Krupa. Serb forces held it for 3 years until last Sunday, the weeds growing over Muslim and Croat buildings long destroyed in the Serb determination to dominate this part of Bosnia. The West's diplomatic challenge is to get the better of the Bosnian-Croat urge for revenge.
It's not surprising, I think, that after several years of having been suffering the battlefield reverses and seeing their territory taken, that there should be a natural inclination for them to try to regain some of this territory.
The public Bosnian position is that their forces will not target Banja Luka.
It is not our desire to cause any sort of military action, to create any sort of panic in the town. We want to make sure that the people of Banja Luka, in fact, have the opportunity to stay in their homes.
But even as the war turns against them, the Bosnian Serb will to remove forcibly Muslims from territory they still control has not lessened. 440 refugees arriving in Kolosevici today into the care of the United Nations. As for America's peace shuttle in Belgrade tonight,
I think we are making some small but measurable progress on a very step-by-step basis.
But now the Bosnian Serbs are demanding land just seized by the Bosnian-Croat Federation be returned to them.